Throughout the book, we will keep talking about complexification of society, evolution of hierarchy, especially after agriculture, settled communities, growing communities, increasing fertilities, changes in family structures, and then hierarchies within societies in terms of distribution of labor as well, elite warriors, farmers, advisor to the chiefdom, chief, the prince, king, whatever. So the book People of the Earth provides a list of attributes of greater complexity. It's worth reading through just so that we have these things in mind every time we talk about society's complexities. What features distinguish a more complex hunter-gatherer society from its less elaborate neighbors? The following appear to be of fundamental importance. So we are talking here about hunter-gatherers, but obviously we will extend the concept much more to agriculturalists as well. Among hunter-gatherers, invention of tools as like the spear or fishing line or whatever would have led to worries about visual theft. Somebody sees you doing it and being successful, and they will steal the idea and outcompete you. So cooperation is argued to have potentially evolved from that. And then when you have a group that is cooperating to hunt big games, you have, let's say, excess food, no refrigeration, so you cannot save it. Then you invite other people to share, and then you get tributary power, and those who are good at hunting or being leading hunting packs would become, would acquire some tributary power as well, in terms of being the chief or the general or whatever. So higher than normal population would be needed, concentrated in relatively small and restricted territories, such as individual river valleys where movement is circumscribed by either geography or neighbors, so kind of bottlenecks or refugia which allow people to congregate and live with the resources available there. A more intensive, more diversified and more specialized food quest. Selected species such as nuts and seeds become more important, and foods that were not exploited previously because they required more effort are adopted into the diet in a greater complex society. Or a society with greater complexity. In some cases, people deliberately sow wild plants to ensure an adequate harvest. So it's the early attempts at domestication, but still relying on wild varieties. A system of food storage and preservation. So this is what we mean by sharing when it cannot be preserved. Of course, nuts and so on, roots may be more easily preserved than fresh meat or fish, for example. Permanent and nearly permanent settlements, often base camps of much greater size than in earlier times. Settlements are often linear, distributed along, say, riverbanks, contain different forms of structures, and are often associated with burial grounds which may serve as territorial boundaries. Next quality for attribute for a greater complexity is a highly developed hunting, fishing and plant processing equipment, which would lead to more efficient food gathering, but also hierarchies and complexification. Division of labor not only by sex and age, but also by activities such as whale hunting or craft specialty like canoe building. So you can sorry about that. I have some allergy. All the clothes get musty in this humid weather and warm weather in Mumbai, so you have to be very careful when you pull out a shirt that you think is clean and wear it. Okay, so division of labor, we will read later on that something like dyslexia, which is often considered a disorder, may actually have been beneficial in some cases because they have a different way of mapping things, let's say. So if you have specialized ability, then you may have earned role in the division of labor, for example. Some form of simple social ranking, probably based on differences between lineages or other kin groupings, such as wealth, diet, and burial customs. So there is always a debate about how the caste system in India developed, for example, and there is always guesswork or hypotheses that maybe if you are naturally inclined towards becoming a warrior, you would become a kshatriya. If you're naturally inclined towards scholarship, you would become a brahmin and a priest, and if you tend towards business, you would become a Vaishya, and so on, so forth. But obviously, now they are set in stone. So you are born a Brahmin or born some caste. So whatever happened, whatever was the origin, now we have a different system. But this is what this is talking about. Some social ranking was probably practiced in creating more complex societies. Often intensive exchange in exotic objects and raw materials with neighboring groups would involve trading and complexification as well. We'll talk about this in terms of several civilizations from the same book, People of the Earth, later in the 8th chapter. And more elaborate ritual beliefs and ceremonial life. So at some point, ideas of the other world, communicating with the spirits, ritual beliefs, shamanism, ceremonial life would have evolved to make society more complex as well. And then there would be tributary powers as well for people who can go into a trance and communicate with the spirits for you, and so on and so forth. Okay, so just wanted to include that here as a brief introduction to what attributes make a society more complex, or what leads to greater complexity. Okay, so let's leave this here for now. Okay.